so we'll get moving. Whakatakaraho ki te uru, whakatakaraho ki te tonga. Ki makinakina ki uta, ki mataratara ki tai. E hiake ana te atakura. He tio, he huka, he hauhu. Tihei mauri ora. Good morning, councillors. Just a reminder that the meeting is being live streamed today, and voting will be through our new fancy pants technology. All votes will be recorded as a division. I have no apologies are recorded. No one's an apology for early departure? No? We'll move on. Look, I do want to acknowledge, as one announcement from the Mayor, the passing of Eva McGawley. Very unfortunate situation. And Eva was a wonderful young woman, an activist, someone who worked really hard to achieve as much as she could in what was a short life. But she lived a full life. Around the Youth Council table, and all of her Youth Councillor colleagues are very, very sad. But she, again, was a bright light and a shining example of how youth can contribute around this table. To those at the memorial last week, Councillor Wolfe spoke very fondly of his experience and relationship with Eva, and you did a good job of representing the council. Thanks, Councillor Wolfe, and Councillor Fitzsimons was there alongside many Youth Councillor representatives. So I just want to acknowledge Eva at this time. Conflict of interest declarations. We don't have any. So I'll confirm the minutes from the meeting on the 31st of October 2018. Having been circulated and taken as read and confirmed as an accurate record of that meeting. Councillor Gilbert, you happy to second? All those in favour, please vote. That's carried. Now, for your advice, councillors, there are two items that are on the agenda today which are being deferred. These are reports 3.2 and 3.3 Part B, and committee recommendations regarding the leases for the Wellington Swords Club, Wellington Football Club and the Wellington K9 Obedience Club. The reason for deferral is to ensure that appropriate engagement can take place before the council considers the leases. So they've been deferred until the new year. We have no public participation, so we'll move on to report 2.1, which is the adoption of the meeting schedule 2018. I'm going to move this. It's going to be a busy year. There will be changes from time to time, but we've worked through this, and I want to thank Dominic and the Dem Services team for getting the schedule as best they can for the year ahead. We have a seconder. Deputy Mayor Day, you wish to speak? Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Pannett.
Thank you. Just very quickly, look, I'm just going to just repeat my slight concern around the scheduling of workshops at 1:30 in the afternoon. I tend to find that attendance does drop off once we hit the 12:30 time, and so just as long as we can be really, and that would be partly my responsibility, that we organise ourselves so that if we are going to have a short meeting in the morning, that we do bring those workshops forward so that we make the most efficient use of everyone's time.
Thank you, Councillor Pannett, and under your astute and effective chairwomanship, I'm sure we'll be in good hands. Okay, we'll vote. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please vote. And it's carried. We'll move to report 2.2. Councillor Dawson, would you like to introduce the report?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. This is a statutory requirement, councillors, that every year we have to report on the sale and supply of alcohol regulations. Just very briefly, just to explain, you'll notice in the attached report that the fees are set in such a way that we only have a 68% fee recovery at this point in time. Ministry of Justice sets the default fees, and it is up to councils Whether or not they choose to change that, we can do that, but only by creating a fees bylaw, and that means we can then set our fees. So, of course, we make it as tricky as possible. I'm led to believe that only a couple of councils have done that so far, and we're not one of them. The costs have risen steadily since the new regulations came into force, primarily due to the increase in the number of hearings and the gradual increase in the number of applications for licences. So basically more and more people want to sell alcohol, so more and more hearings are needed, which means more and more costs involved. I've had a quick conversation with Councillor Foster, and Farms will be looking at this going forward anyway, but in the meantime we have the situation as it sits now, and I do want to thank Helen Jones from Public Health for doing this report for us. I move the recommendations that we receive the information and adopt the report.
And a seconder, I'm happy to, Councillor Foster, you wish to speak?
Very quickly, I think thanks Brian for raising those issues. It's actually the Funding and Activity Working Party which will be the one to have a look at it. Just the one thing which does seem to, the way it works is essentially the longer a hearing goes, we basically charge a flat rate, and if the hearing goes a long time, it's still the same rate. So clearly there are some issues there, and it might incentivise some people to be a little quicker with the way in which they deal with some of the hearings. I sat on one which actually went over 4 separate days. Not that it was 4 full days, but it was 4 separate days. They will be charged the same as somebody who went, a very short period of time. So we do need to tidy those sort of things up.
Anyone wish to speak? Okay, we'll vote on the recommendations. Have been moved and seconded. That's been carried. Now remove to report 3.1, the report of the Regulatory Processes Committee meeting of the 21st of November. Councillor Sparrow.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is a straightforward road stopping issue where council-owned land adjoining 146 Cockayne Road in Kandala is being sold to the owner of that address. I move the 5 recommendations as set out here. And a seconder, Councillor Calvi Freeman. Wish to speak? Okay, all those in favour, please vote. And that's carried. We'll now move to report 3.3, report of the City Strategy Committee meeting of the 22nd of November. The fire and smoke nuisance bylaw, approval to adopt. Councillor Sparrow, you wish to introduce? All right. Thank you again. In light of the Fire and Emergency New Zealand Act 2017, we're simply updating our bylaw. Council's interest will be pretty much limited to the nuisance aspect. Fire and Emergency New Zealand will be responsible for safety and the issuing of permits. So I move that we adopt this bylaw, Part 3, Fire and Smoke Nuisance of the Wellington City Consolidated Bylaw 2008.
Councillor Gilwood, you wish to second? Wish to speak? Anyone else wish to speak or debate? Okay, we'll move to vote. And that's carried. And that's the end of our public reports. I just will comment and thank you, Councillor Calvert, to acknowledge 125 years ago today, women voted for the first time in the world. So quite a remarkable achievement, and happened in these fair shores, and the legislation of course took place here in the capital city in Wellington. So, and to mark the occasion, we'll be having a suffrage afternoon tea. We've invited all past women members of council, those that are living, and hopefully, and a good number of them are able to attend. But they're definitely living, those ones, and hopefully they'll be able to attend, and hopefully we'll also have all of our current women colleagues here, and a show of solidarity from the less female colleagues to attend as well, and your support. we sit somewhere along the spectrum, Councillor Dawson. I look forward to seeing you at the afternoon tea. We'll now move into public excluded session in accordance with the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, sections 4, 1, 72I and section 48, 1A. I'm happy to move. Deputy Mayor Day, wish to second. All those in favour, please push 1.